And the other part about that with the Alexa and the Google Home, you hear all the time that about privacy concerns, about having these devices, and maybe you know more about it. Are they always listening in your home and they are always recording everything that's going on? And then whenever you actually say the phrase that turns it on, does it go back or whatever? Because I'm assuming to catch you saying that, it has to be recording 24/7. It has to always be on in the background. Is that correct?
Right. Right. So it's always on. And in fact, I'm not going to use the example that starts with a G because I have one here in my little studio.
Oh yeah.
But those devices are on all the time and they're listening. Uh, they do sample. So, for example, Apple said that they do sample from the Siri application, but they try to randomize or anonymize rather the data from that, and it's just to try to make their system better. But I think it's a little bit, we should be a little bit uh, wary of that, right? And so there's a lot of people that report that they talk about something at the dinner table, and the next day they start to see ads for that.
Mm.
Now, that could be just confirmation bias that we're seeing something that confirms our belief, or it could be true. And so there's always this kind of balance between creepy and convenient. So each of us has that line, right? So you may decide that it's in one place, and I may decide it's in another place. Um, there's actually some interesting stuff you can do with listening to people's voices. So Amazon has a new fitness tracker, and I'm blanking on the name right now, but this fitness tracker actually has a microphone in it that's always on. Now, it's not, you can't order stuff from Amazon via that microphone, but what it does is it analyzes your voice to figure out if you're agitated, if you're angry, if you're happy, or if you're depressed.
Really?
Right. So you can actually predict suicidal or self harm tendencies based on voice. So there's been some scientific data behind that. Now, that might be good for Scott if Scott wears one of those and you say, okay, well, let's alert his family members because it sounds like he's getting pretty depressed here. But that also kind of creeps over to that creepy line too,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
That's interesting
so
right there, actually, because you could, I don't know how far it'll go, but could it be set to calling the police and they show up at your door and you didn't even call, but Google alerted them that you're getting a little angry, or Amazon, whatever, alerted them you're getting a little angry, you know?
right. Right. And so, what right do we have for our own agency? Right. So, do
Mm.
we have the right to get depressed? You know, um,
That's a tough one.
and it's yeah. Once again, it's all these areas that it kind of creeps over, and it also creeps over depending on um, where you are in the situation. So another scenario I give my students is, what about using AI in war? Why don't we hook this AI up to a machine gun and it can, figure out who to kill on the battlefield? Well, they generally think that's pretty bad, right? Okay, well, now what if your daughter is in the army
Mm.
and is going to be on the front lines? Do you want an AI along with your daughter? Well, wait a second. Now the scenario's changed a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I think we have a lot of ethical issues we have to deal with, and we got to start talking about these things. So, I'm with you. I'm optimistic about the future, but I think we have to start to have these discussions. Where do we want humans involved, and where should we turn things over to an AI, and where should we, not?